some more females in here is what we need.
Well, I do try my best, Like we had Miss Meatface last time.
That's true. That's true.
Under all the latex, she was female.
True.
Shall I do the intro?
Yeah, go for it.
Why don't you do it?
No, you go for it. I'm still learning.
I'm knackered. I've just done all that twiddling and stuff. I don't know what you're not still learning. This is episode 19.
19.
You said 18.
This is 19. This is the Paul Hardcastle episode. All right. Do you know what, actually? Oh, God, I've got asthma now as well. I'm puffed out from running around and doing all this stuff. It's hard to settle down, isn't it, sometimes?
I've really got to learn how to do this.
I feel really self-conscious because he's like a hero for me. This is I feel like a bit starstruck. Hello, welcome to Are You Creative Podcast. We're back here again on a Thursday night in City Sound Studio. We've got another amazing guest. I'm Nick Kern, so-called creative expert. I'm here with Sangeeta
Mitra from New Generation Development Agency.
Oh, I like how you completed your name there. The name is Mitra, Sangeeta Mitra, New Generation Development Agency, International Woman of Mystery.
That's the one.
Except for she just gave her name and a job, so not so much mystery now.
And her PIN code.
Yeah.
We've got everything we need now. Yeah. We can clone Sangeeta, but I think the world doesn't need any more Sangeetas. One's enough. It's about all we can handle in this world.
Well, she helped a lot setting up, so 2 of them would be really helpful.
So yeah, we're here to find out more about creativity in Essex, and we've got another brilliant guest from Essex. It's called AJ. I'm just going to check. You're from Essex, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Basildon and moved to Witham at age just under 1, and I've been in there ever since, and I turn 40 next weekend. So.
He is a Witham lifer, which is pretty amazing. If you don't know Witham, it's probably one of Essex's most beautiful spots. The station's got some lovely industrial big silos next to it, and it's quite quaint. It's got some little flower boxes and stuff. Anyway, and
didn't it have a curfew the other day?
Witham.
We did have a I can't remember what they called it, but twice, 2 days in a row, they were like, the police can dispersal after 6 p.m. The police can disperse you.
I heard it on the radio.
So that was like Witham Asbo, was it?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Brilliant. I think it's because they've got that new skate park there.
Yeah,
that looks wicked. Yeah, it's bringing all the hooligans in. All the micro scooter guys are going down causing trouble.
At least they're all in one place. Eh?
Exactly.
Yeah. But I've got to ask AJ a quick question. AJ, are you creative?
Yes, I suppose so.
How wonderful. Well, let's find out more about what AJ does. Sangeeta, you know what AJ does already, don't you?
I do. I remember hearing AJ one day at an Ignite session that we do.
Yeah, so what is your understanding of what an AJ does?
Right, so what an AJ does, because I was really fascinated. AJ owns a shop, I think.
Does he?
And in that shop, he creates videos, if I remember. Little games.
Yeah.
And
are you getting him confused with
no,
comic book store guy from The Simpsons?
No,
we look similar.
I knew it was to
Similar
do with
hairline.
electrics. It was to do with games, PS games, some sort of inventing games.
Exactly. Let's hear AJ. What do you do?
Tell us.
So my official title is I'm CEO of Dlala Studios, which makes video games.
Amazing. So AJ is the mastermind behind video games.
The whole video games.
The whole video games. The whole of video games.
Even though they predate me, I'm the genius.
Exactly. He invented the A button and the B button.
Yeah, and put them in the wrong order.
So what games have you been making?
Our biggest one a while back was we released a game called Battletoads in 2020, which was the sequel to an old franchise from the 90s.
Battletoads.
Battletoads. So yeah, that was the first game in that series for 26 years. But the biggest one we did was what we released last year, which was Disney Illusion Island, which was a brand new game starring Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck and Goofy.
What? That's like the dream team.
It's the dream team.
Where can you play that game?
So that game's available on Nintendo Switch.
Oh, which is the best games platform as far as I'm concerned.
I have to remain completely neutral.
Exactly. I will say I own 2 Switches in my house, and I'm about to buy 3 Switch 2s as soon as it comes out. So I'll be very excited. Hope Illusion Island will play on Switch 2 as well.
Well, from what I've read this week, it sounds like Switch 2 is backwards compatible, so it should play on that as well.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Sangeeta, do you like computer games?
Do you know what? I'm a very old school computer gamer. So when the PS1 first came out, all I remember is a game called Tekken.
Yep.
Hi-ya! And then I remember the bubble game.
Bubble
Where
Bobble.
the bubble, oh yeah, we
Bubble
get
Bobble.
together.
Bubble Bob, yeah, they're
That
brilliant.
was my favourite. So those were my two go-tos.
So this is cool because Bubble Bobble is a platformer,
Oh,
and AJ's Illusion Island is a platform
It
game.
is,
So
yeah.
you would have the skills for that.
okay. But those are the only two games, I must say.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. So this is pretty amazing because I know that you started Dlala Studios, is it?
Yep.
In your garage.
Yeah, my mum's garage, in 2012, yeah.
And now you're working with the man in the big castle.
Yes, yeah. We,
You are the man in the castle, right?
Exactly, the magic castle.
That's it.
So how did you start out? It's an amazing journey that you've been on.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, so this all I've ever wanted to do is make video games. That's the only job I've ever wanted, except for a short period of time where I got obsessed with watching House, and I thought I might want to be a doctor. But besides that one period of time,
Being a doctor's easier work, isn't it?
yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah, we giving back more to the community. Though. No one was clapping us during lockdown, even though we provided all the entertainment.
I was clapping
That's
you
a
on
good
Animal
point.
Crossing outside my house.
There we go. But yeah, so like I started out as a programmer. So I was a programmer. I had a role called game content developer at a company called Jagex. So they make a game called RuneScape. I was working on a different game there. So I was kind of like a programmer designer hybrid for 3 years. Left there, went to a company called Bossa, where I was kind of a programmer there for a year. And then we won a BAFTA at that company, which was awesome. We were this new company. I was like employee number 9.
Wow.
We beat like a FIFA game and a Spyro game. No one had heard of us.
So hang on, you've gone from the man in the high castle to the man with the iron mask now.
There you go.
Or the man with the bronze mask, anyway.
That's it.
So like BAFTA, I mean, you just threw that away. You're just casual. Yeah, we won a BAFTA. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a computer game BAFTA, was it?
Yeah. So that was.
So that's
at Bossa.
pretty much the best thing you can get in Britain for a computer game.
Yeah, definitely. And we were very lucky that, that my career kind of at Bossa ended after that. So I got the BAFTA and then I left and then started Dlala like 3 months later, me and my partner in crime, Craig. And then we had the lovely kind of full circle where we didn't win, but this year we were nominated for 2 BAFTAs for the Illusion Island.
Hang on.
Amazing.
No way.
So that was lovely. So we took a lot of the team there and went, and got to watch someone else win the awards, but we got the honour of being nominated.
Hey, do you know what? I always say like a nomination or a shortlist is equally as good as an award because it's so hard to just even get on that shortlist.
Definitely.
That's incredible. And I know the people that judge that are really, really like top. I used to work with one who used to be the computer games guy for The Guardian. And, and they take it really seriously. They live and breathe computer games.
Yes,
it's not just some people that just walking off the street, is it?
No, it definitely is.
This is like the Jedi Council judging you.
It is. Yeah, telling me I'm not good enough to be a Jedi Master myself.
So what categories were you in for Illusion Island?
So Illusion Island, we were up for Best British Game and Best Family Game.
Awesome. Best British game. It's funny because it's quite Americana, isn't it? It's like, I can see you got a Disney t-shirt on today.
Oh, always.
Did you get sent a load of merch?
No. I was a hardcore Mickey Mouse fan way before we started the game.
I think working with Disney, because I've done some work with Disney before, the rule book is massive. What you can do with Disney, what you can do with Mickey, even how he will stand, what he'll look at, the way his eyes move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how long did you have to learn Mickey Mouse for?
So, the big advantage we had going in was that I am genuinely a lifelong Mickey Mouse fan. So, the way we kind of make games is, because I direct and write the games with my partner Kelsey, who writes with me, I have to be an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
So before the team came on, I watched every Mickey Mouse short, every film, I read all the comics again, I went through, and to make sure that, I knew all the Mickey Mouse stuff. And kind of the advantage that gives us is that when we're working with these amazing 100-year-old IPs, we're never trying to break what we're trying to bend. What's the furthest we can push Mickey without breaking him? Because we wanted it to feel authentically Mickey. If it didn't feel like Mickey Mouse, what's the point of making a Mickey Mouse game? Yeah. So, the stuff, you find out stuff as you go in. You don't get handed like a big rule book. I wish you did.
It's not like a Mickey Mouse whole Wikipedia, Mousepedia or something.
No, there's
what did I say? Mousepedia, Mickeypedia.
Mickeypedia's just sitting there right for you. You find out interesting stuff, and we kind of learned stuff over the years as well. always have the ears facing forwards. Like that's the big rule. Whatever way Mickey's facing, you can always see the iconic silhouette.
Is it like Peppa Pig? Like if he turned straight on, the ears would just be flat?
It is, yeah. That is, And even like if you look at games like Epic Mickey, which they did a new version of, like when that came out, that was 3D, and even in 3D, they made it so the ears were always facing the camera.
See, this is really interesting because I remember when that came out on the Megadrive, and you're jumping around on the leaves, and the 3D was just mind blowing. It's like, oh my god, it's like the first time you'd seen Mickey Mouse in 3D. But what I love about your games, they look like hand drawn. Again, the technology's come so far that you can get away from 3D and back to the cell shaded sort of look as well.
Well, that's because we do. So everything, although it's done on a computer, we hand draw every frame of animation. So every frame of animation you see in our games has been drawn on with a digital pen. So we do it the old way, basically.
I want to know. Sorry.
Yeah, hang on. We were getting super nerdy here. I'm just going to talk to AJ for about an hour about animating Mickey Mouse's ears. Here we go.
I want to actually know, going back to 2012 when you first set this up, what made you go for this? What made you go for this type of a career? Like, how did you know that, look, I want to make games?
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? So like I said, I've always wanted to make games, but I never had any intention of running my own studio. Like, I never had that thought. And then, when I made the decision to leave my previous employer, 2012 was a really interesting time in games. It was kind of like just over the peak of what we had. We had this thing called the indie game boom. And it was where for around 4 or 5 years, suddenly it wasn't all about these big $50 to $100 million games anymore. These 1 or 2 man studios were making these incredible games, making enough money to make a living, buying their parents' houses. And so 2012 was kind of just over the hill on that. And I think that the conversation we had was like, look, right now, both me and Craig, we were like, we don't have mortgages, we don't have kids. If we're ever going to do it, now's the time.
Amazing.
So when you talk about the indie game boom, are we talking? Because I've seen indie film or
indie game in a movie. Yeah.
So are we talking about in Super Meat Boy and things like that? And I know you're a big fan of the Doom stuff as well. When they were made in studios with 2 or 3 people as well.
They were, the original stuff. Like that team was like 5 of them originally, and they made obviously what turned out to be absolute industry shifting, world shifting. That game is one of the reasons that age ratings exist on video games.
Yeah. And was it the fact that these distribution platforms like Steam came out that people could put indie games out and they didn't have to follow the old model of having to make loads of boxes and send them out to shops?
Yeah, exactly that. We had mainly we had Steam, which at the time was very curated. So I always show this stats when I talk to kids at university, because I always try and dissuade people from starting their own company. I'm like, look, don't go work for someone else. But when we came out in 2012, I think on average there was it worked out to be less than 100 game. Like it was something around like 1,300 games had come out on Steam. And then just this year alone so far, there's over 16,000 already, right? So like you used to get seen. You
think about the brain power that it takes to go into making one game as well. It's a lot of effort, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and a lot of these games as well are now for the indie, like the smaller games, they're done by one person. A lot of them, Dlala, we're 43 people now, so we have a lot of people like doing stuff. But a lot of these games you see, like Stardew Valley, this game has been hundreds of millions of pounds in profit. Like that was one guy that basically just spent like 5, 6, 7 years of his life making this game.
Is that how long it takes then? Years could it take?
Oh, it takes years, yeah. So it really varies game to game, but like Illusion Island, so I started writing Illusion Island in July 2020 and we shipped it in July 2023. So we spent 3 years on that. We're still been doing DLC for it as well, like extra content. But I mean, I've got friends who work for people like Rockstar on like the GTA games and stuff, and those games take 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
2012, that was just like a really lucky sweet spot for you that you were around at the right time. It feels like that's like punk music for computer games, when suddenly the distribution became put in the hands of the developers, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Like it changed everything, and it meant that the platform holders, the people like Xbox and PlayStation, they had to start taking notice, and they had to start thinking about different models, and publishers had to start thinking differently, because, it's the same thing we see with the digital media platforms for music. Like, you either change or you're left behind. And they changed. They figured out how to kind of exploit this new movement, and they did.
Yeah, I've got a friend that works for Valve, and you won't know Sangator because you're not a gamer, but Steam is like Netflix for computer games pretty much. It's like every computer, you can have it on your computer and you can get any game you want. I mean, you still got to pay for it. It's not like Netflix, you can't just stream it, but it meant that all these companies weren't as powerful anymore, but Valve make a lot of money because they get their percentage off every sale.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
They've got a very nice office in Seattle.
Yeah, they
with
do.
A very good view. It's not Witham. It's not it's not as beautiful as Witham. But it's almost they haven't got a duck pond.
So where's your studio?
Witham.
It is in Witham.
Yeah.
So you went from Mum's barn, and then you worked your way up to build your own studio. Did you buy your own?
we started. So yeah, we started in Mum's garage, and then 6 months after we started, for a series of coincidences, we actually became the first ever studio internally incubated by Microsoft. So we actually left the garage for a year and a half, and we worked out of like a multi-million-pound office in Soho.
Wow!
So Microsoft gave us our own area. They let us kind of did like R&D for them. We had our own little office there. They covered all the costs, and we were there from November 2012. Sorry, November 2012, the year we formed, and then we were meant to be there 6 months. They extended us to 14. They asked us to extend again, and we said, no, thank you. We're going to go be broke and work in the garage again because we want to make stuff for ourselves.
In our pants next to the fridge.
Yeah. And so we worked from home for a year, and then a year later, after we'd kind of got a couple of deals, we moved into what is the offices we're in now, and we've been kind of expanding and taking over more of the estate we're on.
How did Microsoft even find you?
So it's, it always makes me feel a little bit scared because it's butterfly effect. So I'll try and tell the story quickly. I went to, when Craig and I started, we only had about $3,000 between us. So like we couldn't both go to conventions. We had enough money to last for like 6 months. So I went to a convention, develop conference in July. A stand was there for Microsoft advertising Windows 8 to the games developers. And I went up and I very, very not politely said, are you here? You don't give about the games, like you don't give about developers.
Oi, Minesweeper, get out of here.
And they were lovely. They were like, no, you're completely right. We're trying to change things. And so we ended up agreeing to do a Windows 8 launch title, not funded, but and then Developer Magazine, which is a game developer magazine, they were interviewing all the Windows 8 launch title people, and they were going to run a paragraph. And we met up with the editor, and we got on really well, and we chatted for hours. And then we got a call the next week saying, hey, I know he's meant to be a paragraph, just so you know, we're bumping Peter Molyneux, you're going to be on the front cover.
Hang on, Peter Molyneux's like computer game god. He did Populous and
did Black and White, Fable, God, yeah. So they bumped him off the cover. They put me and Craig on the cover. Two guys, one game, no cash. We went from one paragraph to like 7-page spread. And then that magazine just happened to get on the desk of a guy at Microsoft who was starting a new studio inside of Microsoft and wanted to incubate the new, like a separate studio. He saw that, gave me a call. One thing led to another, and then the next thing we know, like just as we were about to run out of money, we were walking into Soho with paying gig.
Incredible!
That's amazing.
And this is what I always say to people. It's not about who's the best off, and you've got to be really good, but it's about putting yourself out there as well.
Yeah,
meeting people, making yourself memorable, making yourself useful, and actually don't go up and say to people, "Why F are you here?" But if you go and have a conversation, and it's like an elevator pitch. You've got a very short amount of time to make an impression on someone and for them to remember you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So I always just like say I'm a part-time heavy metal dog. And instantly people want to know more, and they say, I sent a land drop into space or something, and people will remember that and they want to find out more.
Yeah,
they'll be like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to find out about the land drop in space. But it's amazing. You can't just sit in your bedroom making stuff and expect people to find you, especially when there's that many games being put out.
And more, yeah. Just on one platform. Yeah, there is definitely.
So you went from 2 people, now you have a team of 43.
Yeah, it's 43 of us in total, yeah.
That's a serious employer for Essex and for Witham, I bet.
Absolutely.
Not that many people working in Laser Quest, is there?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, and that's talent from all over the world. So we have like my animation director, Eric's been in the industry 30 years, started out on like Earthworm Jim, like a game in the 90s. I've shipped him over from California. We've got somebody from like South Korea. We've got people from all over the place. So we've kind of brought a lot of talent to Witham. So we've definitely, you know.
Oh my God. And how do you go searching for these guys? Or do you just, like, does a job appear and then you advertise and it just happened to be these guys that applied? Or did you go searching?
So like, some of them are connections. So some of them are like friends of friends of friends, or like, you know, coincidental connections we've made. Some of them were like just advertised. Some of them we grabbed fresh out of uni and they'd been like talks I'd done at unis.
So, you know, you get someone from South Korea that's like, I want to work for Dlala Studios. This place looks amazing. What do they think when they end up in Essex?
I mean, I think the biggest culture shock was probably for Eric, who came from California. He went from California to Colchester.
Would you say we're going to walk to the shop? What?
Yeah. Yeah. We always bring them over and let them see Witham first, so they know what they're getting into.
What is a Greg's?
Yeah. But I mean, Eric's still here, so Eric's just gone or this month. Eric's now been with us for, when would it have been? 2018 he came over, I think. So like he's been in England a fair old whack of time now.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it shows that it's a great studio, that you're doing good projects that people believe in. Essex is great.
It's great.
We love Essex, but you know, I think California's got a lot of good stuff on the surface as well. But you know, Essex, everyone wants to move back to Essex.
Honestly.
And are they going over and they're saying to their mates, say in California, hey, you want to come over and check out Witham?
Maybe not in those words.
It's near Tiptree.
Yeah, near the Tiptree Jam.
There's a new skate park.
Exactly. There's a brand new skate park.
Yeah, there's Laser Quest.
There's a dispersal order for 6 p.m. onwards.
How have your local community taken you then? Because obviously, look, as a business, you've now brought in jobs, economy-wise and things like that. So your local community, because you've lived there for almost all your life, how did they...
So this is
Do
almost...
they know you?
No, this is a point of contention I've had, and this is something we spoke to the council about, and Essex County Council, is that, like, you know, we've never had any support. So, you know, we bring in millions of dollars a year, foreign millions of dollars a year from America as well, from big companies into Witham.
Yeah, it's Mickey Mouse money.
Yeah, we literally, right? So we're bringing in millions of dollars a year. We've created 43 jobs, you know, plus contractors. Lots of people moved to Witham and Essex who hadn't been here before. But yeah, we've never really had any acknowledgement as such. You know, a lot of the stuff has come from, I do a lot of work with like the local education.
Yeah.
So I'm a, what do they call it, stakeholder at like Chelmsford College. I go help out at like Colchester Institute.
And I saw you've got a big title, like you're some cultural ambassador.
Cultural ambassador for Essex. Yes.
Yeah, you with the Ferrero Rocher and all of that.
Yeah. Me and Ollie Mers went in the same time. He wasn't at the ceremony though.
But that's fantastic, you know, that you're heralded as an Essex success, though, that you're held up and someone that can inspire, you know, next generation of kids to be creative as well.
Yeah, well, I think the thing for us is, like, you know, me and you spoke about this beforehand, not to talk about how the sausage is made, but like, I think it's important for people to know there's other routes, you know. Like, I didn't particularly get on well at education. I did all right. I did well in English, but I didn't really do great. I didn't really get on well with it. Even when I went to uni, I only went to uni because when I was a kid, you got told you had to get into games, you had to go do a computer science degree. I mean, I only got a Desmond, a 2-2.
Me too.
Because I barely turned up. Yeah. You know, I went and played basketball and, you know, my lecturers just, you turn up and print off something off the internet and put it on an overhead projector. So I was like, what am I bothering coming for? So, like, I think it's important that people see that, like, the 43 people at Dlala, I can't really tell you who's got a degree. I have no idea. I don't really care. Like, we don't really look at that as much. We may do for, like, a lead programmer role. My CTO, Ben, would probably want them to have a computer science degree, but for every other role there, we're not necessarily looking at that. We're looking at what can they do, what's the potential, who are they as a person, and I think it's important for people to know that.
Yeah, I don't particularly look at any sort of CVs or anything either. I've always think you're as good as your last job, and, you know, I just want to see what people can do now.
Yeah,
I really don't mind what wiggly path they've been on together. I didn't even start in creative till I was about 27.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of us are just very lucky to find a job that we like doing. But it's hard to pick when you're at uni. You know, my kid said he wanted to make computer games when he was 8. So we started learning Scratch. Well, he wasn't very interested in that. I think I ended up finishing audience. We made a really good game called Mega Bum Poo. I suppose it didn't get. I suppose.
Don't give it away for free. You're telling people about
it.
it.
Well, no, it's on there. It's on Scratch. You can play it. You've got to keep the beach clean. Lizard guy's stopping the Mega Bum Poo guy from pooing on the beach. It's good fun. It's a bit like Breakout.
Oh, one of my favourite all-time games, Breakout.
So Mega Bum Poo, but we made we made that. We made another game called Apple Junior. But he wasn't that interested in the conditional logic, which I don't blame him because he was 8. Yeah. But ever since I don't think he really wants to make computer games.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to find your path, right? Like I've always said I was very lucky I knew what I wanted to do. So I taught myself to program about the age of 13, went down to Witham Library, got a book on Visual Basic for Dummies, taught myself basically, because you still can. You can access Visual Basic in Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel.
How did you... Because, when we're going back in the old days like this, we're going back to the dark ages, like this is almost pre-internet. Right?
Oh, yeah. It's basically like we used to get the CD for the internet and you could go on it for an hour at 6 p.m.
Exactly. Yeah. So when at that stage, how did you know what to choose to learn? Like how did you know that Visual Basic was the thing to learn?
So I was very lucky. He's not with us anymore, my uncle. So my uncle was a programmer. He wasn't in games, but he had his own business. He was kind of like, he was one of my heroes. Him and my parents are like my heroes, especially when it comes to like business side of things. And he taught me computers. And so I kind of knew what Visual Basic was because he'd explained Visual Basic to me. He'd explained programming languages. And so like when I went to the library and I was looking for all the Dummies books, I saw the Visual Basic one. I opened it and read how you did your first Hello World, and I understood it. I was like, oh, I get this. Like, I'll give this a go. And then, like, the first thing I ever really did was I made a South Park wrestling game, which was all dice rolls. Wow. It was all just dice rolls. So it wasn't animated or anything. It was like wrestlers in the style of South Park, and then, like, you picked a move, and it rolled a dice, and it told you if you did the move and how much damage.
With some little speech bubbles.
Yep, and that was the first thing I did.
Yeah. Oh, my God, they killed Kenny.
Exactly.
Oh, my God, they suplexed Kenny.
Yeah, exactly.
But these things, I think you've got to make a little project or a little game that you're really, really into and gets you excited. And I bet you showed your friends, and I bet your friends were like, "Oh my God, AJ, that's amazing! How have you done that? You're an absolute wizard."
Yeah, and but you got the nail on the head. And that's the biggest thing I say to like these kids, like, you're not going to make GTA when you leave uni. Like, find something you can do quickly, get the experience. Like, it's like working out, right? As you can see, I'm an expert in working out. Like, get the reps in. Like, make a game that takes a week, 2 weeks. Don't go in and make something that takes 6 months. Like, do it end to end so you get that experience.
I think that fast feedback's so good, though, to make like what your minimum viable product is. Minimum viable product. Get it out, get people to see it. And as soon as you show a mate or something and they're like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant," it powers you up for your next little bit. It's so good. It's whether you're doing art or music or anything like that, you can't just hoard it and want to perfect it. And I think the speed that computer games are moving now as well, like I learned Unreal Engine 5 2 years ago, and already it feels out of date because I'm thinking like, well, actually, in a year's time, I could use AI to auto generate a game that's miles better than anything I could make on. I mean, have you seen GTA run through AI?
No, I haven't. No,
they've made it photorealistic. So, even anyone that's making anything on Unreal Engine 5 now, by the time it comes out, there'll be something that's 10 times better. So it's crazy, but you've got to iterate. You've got to get things out quickly.
Yeah.
And that's motivation. So what did you do after South Park Wrestling?
After South Park Wrestling, I got distracted for many years of my life being in a band, my first band. Ooh. So the end of my teenage years, like I definitely kind of didn't put enough time into making games as much then. But, the wrestling thing stayed very much with me. Lifelong wrestling fan, lifelong wrestling nerd. So me and my best friend, Mark Rag, who works for me now, he's my CIO now, but we were making like a wrestling version of Football Manager for a long time.
Nice.
And stuff like this.
Well, so it's like you would manage Hulk Hogan or Roddy Piper
you'd
or something?
Manage like the Federation. So you'd manage like the WWE, and then... So we were working on that for years. And
Hang on, I actually want to play that. You found an audience. Where can I invest? Is this on Dragon's Den? This is Hogan's Den. Yeah. I'm going to invest in that game.
I'm not sure WWE will be happy with me making an unlicensed product.
No, but we changed the names. It's like Supercars 2, when it was like Nigel Mainsail.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and there kind of was lots of that. lots of little bits like that, basically. Before I kind of started working for someone else, and that really became the focus. Then what I was doing during the day.
And did you show those? When you went for your uni degree or something, when you went for your thing, did you show them South Park wrestling and say, "I've made this"?
I didn't. I showed them websites, so including a wrestling website. So like, I didn't have enough. I can't even remember what they're called. ACAS, UCAS points,
credits. Yeah.
So I didn't have enough really to get onto the Bachelor of Science. So I basically contacted them, did admissions, explained, showed them all the programming I'd done in my spare time, all the website stuff, and I got on the H&D, and then smashed the first year, and that turned into the BSc. But I didn't use South Park Wrestling, but I did use my wrestling website that I had at the time.
Oh, amazing! Because I always say when people come to me for creative jobs, I always say to them, "Well, that's great. It's nice to see what you've done on uni. Now show me what you do in your spare time." Because I think if they don't do stuff in their spare time, are they actually interested? And also, the stuff in your spare time is, if you could do anything, what would you do?
Yeah,
South Park Wrestling.
Yeah. Well, the thing I always say is like, the answer you often get from the students is like, yeah, but I don't have time. And I'm like, and then I always say, I'm like, oh, what game have you been playing? And they'll be like, oh, Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm like, well, that's a 175-hour game. Like, if you've got enough time to play games, you've got enough time to make them. Then I say, like, put the time in now, building your portfolio, and then you'll get a job, you'll get money, you can buy all the video games you want, and, like, you can play them then. But, like, now, put the time in while you've got it to kind of build that portfolio and, be prepared for going out in the real world.
Yeah, I think those young hours are worth so much more than adult hours, as well. Like, you get you've got it for life. Yeah. So it's such a good investment early on, but you can't convince, if I told myself when I was young to do that, I would have been like, shut up.
Yeah, no, me too.
Jaden, the Rag Enforcer's nodding along here, but I know he's the most motivated young person I know.
Well, he can't be agreeing because he's here doing this.
I know, exactly. He could be at home playing Redemption 2.
You could be playing, what's that, Bum Poo?
Mega Bum Poo. Honestly, Mega Bum Poo is really, really difficult. I don't think even you, the computer game god, could crack it.
I'm not great at playing games. So that's a very big illusion. Like, this is, like, just because we make games doesn't mean we're good at playing them.
I would have thought that was it. I thought that because you make them, you must know how to.
We get smashed at games, yeah. Really? We're good at our games. We're always good because we have to play them so much. But like,
so let me go.
Look at AJ though. He's tapping out the Konami code with his fingers constantly through this interview.
What I want to know now is you've made a game, and how do you now? Do you send it out to test, or how does that work? How do you know that game's going to be successful?
That's a great question. I mean, we're kind of lucky now, right? In the sense when we're making stuff, we often have a publishing partner, so they're playing it, we're playing it, and then we do a lot of user testing. So we'll pay a company to we'll say, hey, can we get 43 people aged between 16 and 25 in these demographics? Can we have X percentage male, X percentage female, X percentage non-binary, these countries, and then they'll go and they'll play the game, and then they'll give us back data, videos, comments, and then we can be like, oh, okay, you know what, this is as strange as it sounds, Mickey Mouse game landed better with families than we expected. And I know it sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but like we didn't necessarily, when we're making it, see it as a family title.
What were you thinking? It was more a Cuphead vibe?
Well, it was more like we were wondering, like, are we going to capture the nostalgia? The people our age who like grew up on the 2D games on the Megadrive. But actually, we captured families, and a lot of the comments we got were like, "This is the first game I've played with my daughter. This is the first game my son's completed." Like, and then we ended up picking up awards for family game and nominations, and we're like, "Oh wow!" And like, we didn't really know that was going to happen until like the last user testing just before we released, and it was like, "Oh, this is landing really well with our family groups." And we're like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting."
With these playtests, do you ever get to like watch through a mirrored wall or something while someone's playing it, or do you get to mirror their screen to see what they're doing?
I've done both. So the lab one's kind of like, a lot of the big companies do the lab one where you go in, you're behind the two-way glass. They don't know you're there, but they do.
Because your leg's twitching.
Exactly. But we tend to use a company now that does it completely remote. And the reason we like that is because people play in their own homes. And so like, we'll be like, hey, we want you to play this for 4 hours, but you can spread it over a week. Play it how you would play it. So if you sit down and you play games for 4 hours, do it. But if you only do half hour at a time, do that. But what's great from that is We get a video of their screen. We get a video of their webcam. We get audio of their comments. We get a transcription.
You get to see if they're looking at their phone or they're checking their email or something while they're doing it. And so,
like, people are playing the game, and like we'll look at the transcription. If somebody's like, "Oh, this bit is not good," we can click it. We can see the screen. We can see their camera. We can see what's going on. Because the problem is that with everyone that plays games, especially if they're not necessarily developers, what they're saying doesn't always mean that's what the problem is.
Right.
You know, they might be like, I hate this bit, you know, this is really not fun. And then you watch and you go, oh, the reason it's not fun is because they don't realise they've got to go over there first and they're getting stuck. And then, but if you just take it as it's not fun, you'll go, oh, like, kill this level. So
what do you do? Sorry.
Do you know what? Once, to tell a computer game story, once I got on a plane and I had the new Zelda on my DS, Nintendo DS, and I was so excited about playing it. And I was like, I was going to Japan. I had like 8 hours on a plane. And I got to one bit and I just couldn't get past it. You know, within like half an hour. Apparently you had to blow into the microphone.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't have a mic plug thing for it. And I didn't know you had to do that. So I was just like, well, this game's rubbish. And I thought the game was really rubbish. Someone told me about 10 years later. And I was gutted.
But this is it, like, and it's not a player's, it's no one's responsibility to be able to verbalise what the issue is. More often than not, what we're looking for is the fact there is an issue. You know, a good example is this game camera in game, right? Like, the best game cameras are the ones that nobody ever talks about, because if you're noticing the camera doing something, then it probably means it's bad.
Unless it's Lakutu in Mario 64 following you around on his cloud.
Yeah, right. I mean, not a great camera, but for first 3D game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we will put hundreds of hours of man time, like we'll put tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars into making a camera. And our objective is that no one ever comments on the camera. That's success for a camera, right?
Incredible.
And a lot of it is, you know, as director of the games, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is my team will make amazing stuff, but I'm looking for the stuff that just feels off. Like, is there anything that feels slightly off? And that they all have, there's like ongoing jokes, and one of them is like, I'm very anal about, like, I'll see if something is I'll be like, that is 2 pixels too far to the right, and I'll make them nudge it, and like, it sounds like it makes no difference, but I'll be like, yeah, but they'll just catch that jump and it won't feel good. They would have done it, but it won't feel good. And like, so what that means is if it doesn't feel good, it feels bad. Yeah. That's what a lot of my job is. It's like, okay, like, sand off the edges, like, figure out the stuff where players will just be like, oh, something didn't feel right, but I don't know what it is.
I'm going to give you a German term that you're going to really like. I'm going to have to beep this out. But when my wife was working at a branding agency, they call that
yeah, what, pixel pushing?
Yeah, pixel pushing. But it's like, no, we do. Because it's those small differences that people just think that 0.0001% doesn't make any difference. But it does. It's marginal gains. It's like those little improvements that really count. Yeah, and it's hard to care.
No, definitely. And like, you know, players won't compliment you for it. Nobody will tell you that this feels perfect, but they will tell you when something doesn't, and they will tell you when something's off. And if they can't understand, if they don't know why it's off, it's more frustrating for them. So, you know, a lot of my work is like figuring out the little bits that are off and just nudging them in the right direction.
So you get your feedback, and then you realise, let's just say something's wrong. So what do you do then? Go back to the team, you fix it before you release it?
Yeah, if you've got enough time. So, you know, like at different points of the project, you have to stop making new stuff, right? You can tweak the stuff that's there, but you have to stop making new stuff. You know, and you'll set deadlines and you'll always go to the wire. Like in the last 12 and a half years of running Dlala, me and especially Ben, my CTO, have done many like 3 a.m.s on deadline day. But yeah, you go back, you tweak it, you try and fix it. If you've got time, you do more user testing later down the line. You know, and what you do with that group is you'd go half the group. I want half the group that was playing last time, and I want half of them to be fresh, so you can see if people are feeling the difference. And then at some point, you just have to trust yourself. And I mean, a lot of what we do to start with is that, because you do user testing at maybe 4 or 5 points if you've got the money, 2 or 3 if you haven't, maybe never. Like, so a lot of the time you're trusting your gut. You're like, have we got something good here? And that's terrifying. Like, the worst thing in the world, we have like the day of release normally, we have embargoes on reviews. So people would have had the game for a week, 2 weeks, they would have wrote their reviews, but we'll have an embargo that says you can't release your review until
And no one's told you, no one's given you a little wink or anything,
No,
or tweeted you, or sent you a text with 10 stars on it.
No one tells you. And like for us on Illusion Island, it was horrible because we actually had I won't say the name, a publication broke the embargo 4 hours early and it was a bad review.
Oh no.
And so the only review that existed at that point was a bad one. And so I was sitting, and like I didn't tell the team, so I was sitting there, I was like, have we mucked this up? Like, luckily for us, we hadn't, and the other reviews came out were very lovely. But like,
yeah, I read some people like to give bad reviews for films and games because then on Rotten Tomatoes their review stands out as well because it's the outlier.
Oh yeah.
So when people search the bottom,
my rule with reviews, especially for games, is like if a game is not broken, it shouldn't get below a 6. Right?
Yeah.
For me, below a 6 means broken. And then after that point, it's the Wild West of journalism, and people give it what they will, right? And it's opinion, and everyone's entitled to theirs.
Yeah, they just might be like they don't like Mickey Mouse.
And there is, once again, I will not say names, but like there is a certain review out there that carried a lot of weight that wasn't good for our game, and I read the review and I was like, they literally haven't played the game, and I could tell they hadn't played past the first like 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, there's an agenda here. They obviously have a problem with either us or with the House of Mouse. And, so it was like, okay, and just nothing you can do, though. Like, it's out there, it's out in the world, and, it's very easy to focus on the negatives and skip the positives, and something I'm personally bad at because the team know my philosophy for me, not them, is like, negatives I can action, positives don't help me. But for them, I'm always like, only look at the positives. Just look at the good reviews.
Just don't read the comments. But then you could see when the game came out and you can actually see users' reviews and you can actually see users' playtime as well, can you?
So on Switch, we can't as much. We can on some of the other platforms because you can check your achievement stats. But like, there's a website called How Long to Beat.
Yeah.
And that's a great one because you can put in the name of a game and it tells you how long the average completion time is. And we get a lot of completion on that, a lot of people playing. And yeah, we've just had great feedback, and it's just, it's just been wonderful, for me, the team, we ended up getting over 40 awards and nominations for the
Amazing.
game. And I was so happy for
Hang on. And awards for Dlala Studios are awards for Essex.
Exactly.
These are awards coming to Essex. It's incredible.
They are, and we got nominated at the BAFTAs, we got nominated at Game Awards, which is kind of like our Oscars, we got nominated at DICE, which is a really high-bodied. And we've got all those lovely nomination certificates and stuff on our wall in the office. We got, we won a Webby. I didn't go, and I'm gutted because Julia Louis-Dreyfus was there, and she won that year as well.
Oh, I've won 2 lovies tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, sorry, just thought I'd drop that in.
Essex,
quite exciting tonight.
Essex.
It's actually the awards is tonight. I came here instead of the awards ceremony.
That's dedication to the podcast.
Exactly. But yeah, so sorry, I just. My ADHD brain just remembered. I was like, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I just won 2 lovies tonight. That's
congratulations.
Nice. Thank you very much.
They're for Essex.
They are for Essex, yeah. Exactly. I'll be bringing them home. The scrap value is good though. Big trophy. Take them down Tilbury. One of the things that I was really excited about when I met you before was you were talking about when you start writing like dialogue and you're writing script and you're writing the narrative. And I thought, that would just be like some guy in the studio or you will do it. And then you're mentioning you're getting people from Clarence, from Rick and Morty, coming in and helping you writing dialogue, which is incredible. You're getting basically the best talent in the world from Hollywood. Yeah,
I'm very lucky. I've got, the thing I've always said is like, from the outside, it sometimes looks like I have a lot of nepotism, but actually I just have a lot of talented friends. Yeah. So when we did Battletoads, so I directed that and I was like, little bit of writing, but my main writer was my friend Tom, and so Tom is an Emmy award-winning writer. He was one of the lead writers on Loki. He did the first 3 seasons of Rick and Morty.
No way.
And so me and him wrote Battletoads together. And one of his writing team on that was Kelsey, who's like my writing partner now since we've been writing games together since 2018. But Kelsey co-wrote Illusion Island, co-writing new stuff with me, and she's done a ton of shows for like Cartoon Network. She was writer and she was the lead star on 13 Forever on Netflix.
Wow.
Like,
I was really excited about Clarence because I think Clarence is very underrated.
I think
that's one of the best written shows.
Did Uncle Grandpa as well was one of the ones. I think Tom and Kelsey met on Uncle Grandpa.
So isn't this mad? Like, you think this again, this Essex studio that's been started in someone's garage then ends up having Rick and Morty writers writing for it and Mickey Mouse coming to hang out.
Yeah, I mean, on Battletoads as well, like the voice cast for that, we got very lucky. We called in a lot of favours. So Rash, one of our Toads, was voiced by Eric Bowser. So Eric Bowser is the current voice of Bugs Bunny, and a lot of the WB characters. Zitz in that was Ryan Ridley. So Ryan Ridley is like a Hollywood film writer now. So like he was one of the producers on Rick and Morty, but he does Hollywood films now.
Are you actually sat in the studio with them, or are you doing it remotely?
Yeah, no, we did that. So back on Battletoads, we did it. We had Echo Kellum. So Echo was was a regular on Arrow. So he was on Arrow and had his own sitcom as well.
And you must be sat there pinching yourself, just thinking, like, oh my God, I can't believe I've got these heroes are reading lines that I've written with people. Insane.
I mean, the biggest moments for that for me was on Illusion Island, because we had the authentic voice cast. So, you know, Bill Farmer has been Goofy since 1986.
No way.
And Tony Anselmo's been Donald since the year before that, I think. And I was sitting there watching these actors, you know, do my script, and that was unbelievable.
Did you get them to do a voice message for you?
I didn't. But when Caitlin was doing Minnie, so it was like 3 a.m. here, so I was remoting in for these ones because they were recording them in LA, and my pug Hugo came in. And she started talking to Hugo in as Minnie, and that was just unbelievable for me. Like that was just amazing.
I did a VO session once with Peter Serafinowicz, who's one of my comedy heroes, and I got a bit starstruck. And all I wanted to do was ask him to do a Brian Butterfield answer phone message for me. And I know he would have done it because he's such a nice guy, but I just couldn't bring myself to ask him.
Yeah.
And everyone else, I've got no chill. I'll just ask them, can you do like some silly thing? Can you say the name of my band, or can you do this, or do a message from my friend? But I could have had a Brian Butterfield.
It's hard when it's, you know, it's the same for me. My whole thing is like I can't ever like fanboy out, but there's Tim Schafer's like my all-time favourite game developer. So he used to work at LucasArts, was like one of the writers on Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle,
Wow.
Has his own studio called Double Fine. He's my hero, and he's the only person who I've ever seen like in person and I couldn't go up to, because I'm like,
wow,
there's no way I will stay composed. Yeah. So I will literally go up to him and be like, I love everything you've ever done. You're the reason I make video games.
Squee.
Yeah, and so I've just avoided having to have that interaction.
Can I just ask before we finish off?
Yeah.
You said you go into university
Yeah.
for those students. If there are young people out there that have this talent, but they don't know how to grow it, and they're not at uni, they've dropped out from college, how would they find some information, or how would they find you?
Yeah, it is a great question. So like for us, you know, you could contact us through the website, and you know so our contact form on DlalaStudios.com goes to me and the other leadership team. So quite often I will reply personally. You know, we quite often will do tours, or like we've had a lot of students or people trying to find their way, and we've maybe let them come in and spend a couple of hours talking to the artists or the audio
Amazing.
team.
Okay.
So you have people from local schools come in and see what you're doing sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, it's really important for us. You know, we'll have people reach out that are like, you know, oh, like my son's got autism, he's not confident in this situation, he thinks he wants to do this, and so we'll let them come in, we'll give them a tour, and then they'll spend a day talking to the different disciplines, figuring out like what's the bits they like, what's the bits they want to do. You know, one of my all-time favourite things about Dlala, one of my favourite stories is that we got asked to go to London to do this little event, and it was for people who had been like left university or college and were on unemployment.
Yeah,
and it was fake interviews. So they wanted us to come and interview them as if they were like real candidates. And so there was a lot, and we sat down, and then this young lady sat down called Dora, and I was like, okay, I explained to her, look, I'm going to do this as if I was doing it properly, like. Yeah. And she smashed it, and she was like unbelievable. And so Dora's now worked for us for 3 years, I think.
Oh wow!
So a fake interview turned into a real job.
So like I was there with my COO Gemma, and I was like, Dora, before you go, can you go? I know you're not on a schedule. Go see Gemma. And she went and spoke to Gemma, and then Gemma come over to me afterwards, and she was like, she's good. I was like, she is good. Yes. And so I signed up for the next day to go back for another thing, and I called Dora, and I was like, look, we've figured this out. Do you want to come try 6 months at the company? And yeah, she's been with us years now.
So this is one of the things, you know, like I was talking earlier, like putting yourself out there and making your own luck's really important, but also like as an employer as well, going out and meeting people, going to places where you might meet someone that you wouldn't normally 100%. Come across your desk, because you don't want to just get like constant, oh, I've got a first in MIT in computer science, because you want someone that's bringing different life experience as well and different opinions.
Definitely. Yeah, for me, it's much, you said it right, it's much more important for me that people put the work in their own time. The amount of times I ask to see portfolios and people show me their uni work, and I'm like, yeah, but everyone on your course, like everyone on your course will have this.
Yeah,
What
the same
makes you
brief.
stand
I've
out?
seen this brief 10 times already.
Exactly.
So tell us about these Ferrero Rocher you've been getting as the Essex as the Essex Cultural Ambassador.
I do make my team now call me Mr. Ambassador.
Yeah, and reply excelente to you every time you say anything.
And keep telling me I've been really spoiling them. Yeah, so that was unexpected and lovely. You know, we got reached out to and said, you know, they're doing some Essex. They want some cultural ambassadors for Essex, people who are giving back creatively, who they want to kind of have out there.
So you're in this lineup with Ollie Murs. Who else is in there? Grayson Perry, I think.
Yeah, Dame Helen Mirren.
What?
Oh, wow.
Is she from Essex?
Yeah.
Smashing it.
wow.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll come on the podcast one day.
She's fantastic. Yeah, there was a lot of incredible talent in there.
Yeah, and what do you have to do as part of your ceremonial duties as the ambassador?
So we have to don gowns and hoods and sacrifice the souls of. No, so it's kind of it's the early stages of the program, right? So kind of we had the induction this year, which was wonderful, and I forgot where I was, swore a lot in front of local councilmen who were rather shocked.
I can imagine you didn't dress up for the occasion either.
No, I mean this is me dressing up in my shorts and my Mickey shirt, and my sliders as well.
Yeah,
actually,
exactly.
yeah, and you know, and I think the idea is like, you know, we're out there, we're putting Essex out there, they use us as case studies, you know, and we're starting to think about now, like, how can we do more, you know, and there's a couple of organisations that we're all part of as well, stuff like Ignite and things like this, where we're trying to figure out, like, how do we give back to the county? How do we get more people involved in things?
Exactly, and how do we inspire like Jaden and, you know, Jaden and his Spark group of young people as well. They're the next people coming through, and we've got to make, you know, we've got to promote Essex, bring things into Essex as well, make everyone realise how creative we are here.
Well, like we need people like you more than you need us, because the only thing I remember coming up in the industry when I was first involved was like how old and dinosaur-like the people already in the industry was, and I'm that age now. I'm the dinosaur, and I'm like, the only way that Dlala stays relevant is by getting the new faces in and keeping that rotation of like, yes, let's retain our talent, but let's make sure we're bringing in new voices, different voices.
Yeah,
like,
getting that energy in as well, like different generational energy. It's brilliant.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't understand a word that people like. I've got Chloe works for me, she's 19. Don't understand a word she's saying half the time.
Yeah. As long as she says excelente occasionally.
Yeah, and tells me I'm spoiling her and then takes a Ferrero Rocher.
Okay, well, that sounds great. So everyone can look out, and is that on the Essex County Council website? I think. I think there's
a specific page they've got for the Essex Cultural Ambassadors.
Well, isn't that wonderful? Because we are sponsored by Essex County Council. They pay for this equipment as part of NGDA, which is brilliant.
That's fantastic.
So, you know, I normally say that at the end of the thank you, but I'm going to say thank yous now. So, you know, well, thank you for Essex County Council for the ambassadors reception and the Ferrero Rocher, our equipment. NGDA, thank you very much. Thank you very much to Jaden.
Big up yourself, man.
No, that was not Jaden. That was the Rega Enforcer. Thank you to the Rega Enforcer.
Big up yourself, man.
One and the same. Thank you, Sangeeta.
Oh, thank you, AJ. This was really good.
Thank you for having
It's so
me.
inspiring. I
Great.
think. Do you know what? I think we need to have an AJ2 episode because we really.
Is that a sequel to this episode or a sequel to me? Like, is there a second AJ?
Yeah. When we get AIJ,
AJ.
we're going to get him on.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we've got lots more stuff to talk about anyway, so we'll probably get you on again another time.
Whenever you like. Just
Thank you,
let me
Nick.
know.
Oh, no problem, Nick. Thank you very much. Thank you to City Sound as well, again, for their studio. So nice, and Paul helped us set up the mics, so it's sounding beautiful today. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at r.ucreate. Hang on.
r.u.creative.
Podcast.
Podcast.
No dot.
No
yeah,
dot.
r.u.creative.podcast. And send us questions because, you know, maybe you want to know what Sangeeta's favourite flavour of Lucozade is. I don't know. You know,
What is it?
Orange.
You have to send us a question to find out. So that's all we've got time for now. So thank you very much, AJ.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you so
enjoy
much,
your journey
AJ.
back to Witham on Steamboat, Willie's Steamboat. Don't forget to put a bit of coal in the fire.
Oh boy.
Cheers.
Thank you.